Anthony Joshua says that Dillian Whyte deserves a crack at his heavyweight titles more than Tyson Fury does. You guys can go ahead and read these comments if you wish from Anthony Joshua. But here's my take on it. Now, from a resume point of view, particularly a resume point of view over the past 2 years, Dillian Whyte does deserve a crack at Anthony Joshua more than Tyson Fury does. Yeah, he does. But just because he deserves it from a resume point of view over the past couple of years, because he's been more active and he's been fighting much higher level opposition than people like Sefer Seferi and Pianetta, just because he deserves it from a resume point of view, an activity point of view, and just putting in hard work and being highly ranked through hard work, that doesn't mean that it's a fight the fans would rather see. Dillian Whyte deserves all the success he's had. He deserves all the money he's made, and I wish him even more success in the future. But I think I speak for the vast majority of boxing fans when I say that I would much rather see Tyson Fury versus Joshua than Dillian Whyte versus Joshua. Because we've already seen Dillian Whyte versus Joshua. Yes, Dillian Whyte has improved a lot since then, as has Joshua. And yes, they do have a history of having real good fights with each other. But as a fan, I just don't feel as though right now is the time for that rematch. There's far more pressing and important issues at hand. The main one being who is the best heavyweight in the world out of the 3 fighters with a claim to being the champion. Tyson Fury being the mythical lineal champion, Deontay Wilder being the WBC champion, and Joshua being the WBO, WBA, and IBF champion. We need to consolidate those championships, give us one champion. After that, then we can explore other things. The Dillian Whyte rematch. I mean, if Dillian Whyte goes on and continues to pick off top contenders, then he's going to generate a lot more support for a rematch with Anthony Joshua. Let's say Dillian Whyte was to go out there, beat Dominic Breazeale, and beat Jarrell Miller. I'm not saying he has to, all right? He deserves a shot now based upon what he's done, based upon who he's beat. I'm just talking about what the fans want, yeah? Not what he deserves in terms of ranking and sanctioning, but no, not from that perspective. I'm talking about what the fans want. For the fans to want Dillian Whyte versus Joshua too, I think Dillian Whyte would have to go out there, beat Miller, beat Breazeale, and really make himself a champion in everything but name. Make himself the very clear top contender outside the champions. I think that's what he would have to do at this point in time for people to want to see the Joshua rematch. Now, he might not have to do that if Joshua manages to beat Wilder and Fury, because then they'll just be, okay, he's beating Wilder and Fury. Who else is that? Okay, rematch with Dillian Whyte. Let's try that. At that point, even if Dillian Whyte had just been treading water and not really taking on any other top contenders, at that point, you might be able to sell that fight, that rematch successfully to the fans. But at this point right now, there's far too much business to be dealt with and handled with the other fighters that have a claim to be champion for people to be that interested in a rematch with Dillian Whyte. You know, it is what it is. So I get where Joshua's coming from. And some people are going to say, in fact, most people will probably say that this is Joshua trying to prepare us for the inevitable in April, which is a Dillian Whyte rematch. Maybe it is. One thing I've also said, and I'll keep saying this until it sinks in with people, is that I think the stadium fights for Anthony Joshua are a bit of a gimmick. I've gone into this before, but watching a boxing match at a football stadium in the rain when you're all the way in the back for a pair of binoculars is not exactly the greatest viewing experience. And there's only so many times that people are going to want to do that before they realize that this is a gimmick. And that actually I'll be better off watching the fight on TV. So there's that issue going on. And as you know, Wembley did not sell out. How many did they do? Like 80,000 tickets. So they were about, what, 10,000 short of selling out? Part of that could be down to the fact that StubHub have been reined in, apparently, because they were the ones selling the tickets on the secondary market, to my understanding. But also, I think the Joseph Parker fight was so dull that the fans lost a little bit of faith in Joshua, faith in his ability to deliver exciting performances. And the Carlos Takam fight was a little disappointing also to the fans. There were a few boos, quite a lot of boos actually at the end of the Takam fight because they thought he would stop prematurely, as did I. So Joshua's popularity, I think, can go down in the UK because of the factors that I've just talked about. You know, the fact that eventually people will start to lose interest because, you know, it's the same thing over and over again. It's like with Mike Tyson. When Mike Tyson was several defenses in and when he was undisputed champion, the numbers for his fights started to decline, particularly after the Spinks fight. You go look up the viewing figures for Mike Tyson fights. Now, he wasn't fighting in stadiums. He fought in the Tokyo Dome. I think that was the biggest arena he ever fought in, and that was very big. But that was like empty or only half full when he fought Tony Tubbs, and only probably even less full than that when he fought. Actually, it might be more full when he fought. No, maybe it was less full when he fought Douglas. I'm not sure, but either way, that was in a different country. But in the United States, the viewing figures for Tyson fights when he was in his prime started to wane during his first reign as champion because people felt like, oh, okay, we already know what's going to happen. Tyson's going to turn up and, you know, knock a guy over and it's not going to be competitive. Yeah, it's going to be a nice highlight reel knockout, but we've seen highlight reel knockouts from Mike before. We want to see something different. And at some point, that could happen to Joshua too. In fact, it might be starting to happen to Joshua right now with the British public. They want to see something new. They want to see the next phase of his career. They don't just want to see the same thing over and over again. They want to see something different. And that's why it's so important for him to fight Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, either or both. Yeah. Not just from a legacy standpoint, but if he cares about the money that much, and I think he probably does, his promoter Eddie Hearn certainly does, then if they want the money to keep on increasing and improving and getting better, they've got to fight Fury and Wilder. And after Fury and Wilder, if he manages to get through them, and there's no guarantee that he will, he might lose to one or both of them. But let's say that he did hypothetically, he'd then need to find new challenges and new things to do. You know, and at that point, as I say, you bring in a Dillian Whyte, you sell the rematch, the bad blood, Dillian's improved, this, that, and the other, you know? Anyway, let me know how you guys feel about everything I talked about in this video in the comment section below. It's Satman, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.